Welcome everyone to another video on my channel. And as I'm working here on the PC, and I told you about in the last video yesterday, I think you saw this little thing here where I was using the pen to actually draw some stuff, and I'm getting better at it. But whilst doing that, I saw a little note on the side what kind of videos I want to be talking about. And as you've seen in the title, we're going to be talking about who is my mentor, right? Because everyone talks about mentors and mentorship, and you know, if you are an entrepreneur, you should be having a mentor, and I see this word popping up everywhere and everyone is using it. And what does that actually mean, and who should be a mentor? Or let's say role models might be a better word for it. But interestingly, I gave this interview last time, and there's a link below, and the guy said, so who was your role model or the person you looked up to in fitness? Because he says everyone looks up to Arnold. And my answer was, well, at the end of the day, we're just looking at the sports career. I had so many different people I learned from. I had probably over, last time I was counting, 20 different trainers I learned in my whole martial arts career. And that's why I'm so diverse and able to adapt to so many situations, because I've got so much I've learned from different people. If you just have one person you follow, it is very, very hard not to become that person. And you know, when we were competing in martial arts, we were doing these musical forms with weapons and stuff, and I remember that there was one guy who was at the very top and everyone was copying him, and that's often the case. Now the problem is, if you copy just someone doing the same stuff, you're not going to be better than him, because you're always going to be compared to that person. So copying is great, but you have to copy and make it better and put your own twist on it. And that's what I've done, and that's what a lot of other people have done, and that's why they become successful at what they're doing. Now when you talk about mentorship in terms of, let's say, business, or in this topic we're just talking about personal training and growing a fitness business and stuff like that. Now mentors can be very, very expensive, right? They can be up to a couple of £1,000s a month to be able to push you in your career and so on and so forth if you get to a 6-7 figure business. And that might be a good investment. Though if you are at the starting point and you're like, well, I can't afford that kind of mentorship or one-to-one coaching, then the internet gives you the opportunity to follow so many different people in terms of advice, more or less for free, because everyone, like myself as well, are putting out videos like these, which is free. You can watch it and you can take whatever you want from it, and then you can move on. But again, what I'm trying to say is it's good to follow more than just one person. I do the same thing. I try to figure out, what do I like about this person? What do I like about this person? Yes, this makes sense. I might come back to that one again. So this is what I would advise you guys to do. So if you find someone with some certain expertise or where you want to be, it's great to follow them. But make sure you get not just one opinion on it. Try to find as many people as possible. And one of the most powerful things we have as human beings is asking questions. I like throwing in this quote from Jim Rohn, who said, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself the most with, or something like that, similar to that. Meaning the group you hang around with is the most likely the person you're going to become. In sports, it's the easiest way to think about it. If you run 100 meters, and you always win, because you know you might run against 5 or 6 people and you're always the winner. But let's say you run on 100 meters, you run a 12-second sprint. That ain't great. But you might feel great because you won always against these 5 people. You should run against someone who runs 10 seconds on 100 meters and you run 12, so you get pushed further. You have to chase someone to become better. And that's the simplest way of thinking about it. In sports, it's really easy because you can find someone who's better and then you train with that person, you become better. It's the same thing in business. You find someone who is where you are at and you surround yourself with that person. Now, the great thing about this little tool we have here called the phone, you can take everyone you follow around with you wherever you are. And that's why I'm always saying, and this is something I will be revealing, is who I follow, what kind of podcast I'm listening to, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to create like a little list, and that's going to be part of my program as well, just to give you a couple. For example, Lewis Howes, the School of Greatness, is a great podcast, or Entrepreneur on Fire with JLD, right? These two are already giving you so much value in terms of who they interview and what they do. Or the Tim Ferriss Show is another one which I follow. So if you look for the right people, then they will support you on the way. And the really cool thing is, as I'm traveling, I've got my earphones, I've got my phone, and that's all I'm really using. When I'm in the aeroplane, that's what I listen to. I don't listen to, let's say, what I see people do in the plane, and that might be alright, but this is even business people are sitting next to me and they're playing like Candy Crush on their phone. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, is that the best use of time right now? Probably not. Not saying that you shouldn't be playing a game. There's plenty of time for it. But if you are this sort of person who wants to get to a certain point in your life, in your career, then you will need to make priorities. And that's what Gary Vee talks about, hustle and grind. Not everyone has to grind like him, and his perspective on hustling and grinding is not the same for everyone. You know, some people might not be able because they like family, they want to have work-life balance, but so on and so forth. Generally speaking, but if you're young and you have this opportunity now, especially the internet, there's always opportunity. There's nothing like saturation. But if you spot like a hole in the market, which I'm doing right now, I spotted a little opportunity for myself in the market, which is personal training mentorship. And I've researched it quite well, and now I'm going aggressively after it because I know there are not much people doing this because, first of all, this niche is so specific that there are not many people who could be able to do this. And then on the other hand, most people who are in this niche, they're more concerned about their business rather helping other people run their business. So that's my niche, and that's where I'm going to be focusing on. And you can see it's very, very specific. So it's sports, it's fitness, it's personal training mentorship, one-to-one, and then for those people who are self-employed, not employed, and then they want to grow their business to a certain amount. So you can see how this niche goes down in a funnel, and at the very bottom is just a couple of people who this will be concerning, but these people are so laser targeted with what I'm going to be doing. That's what you want to focus on. Let's wrap this all up. The reason why I talked about this funnel and this niche is because I spotted something, and that's why I'm putting in the work now, the hustle and the grind, so to speak, and also listening to podcasts to other people who are there where I want to be, because I see this opportunity now and I want to really go for it and make the best of it. And sometimes I know that people who might be playing Candy Crush or something else on the side, they might just be in that point of time, they're playing this game maybe for just 5 minutes and they don't even do that ever, right? That might be just because I've seen them now. But a lot of people, they just distract themselves with other things because they don't really know what they want to do. And that's why in my program I also talk about your why. You have to figure out why you're doing this. This was the video before when we talked about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. You need to figure out what it is that is pushing you and pulling you towards your target or where you want to be. And once you got that clear picture in your head, trust me, you're gonna jump out of bed in the morning and you're gonna be so freaking driven because that is what you're going for and what you want to achieve. I know it's a hard place sometimes to get there or it's hard to figure this out because you watch so many other people in terms of, let's say on Instagram or YouTube and so on, they're all doing this fancy stuff and showing off their lifestyle and so on. You're like, oh man, I would like to be there and stuff. But at the end of the day, those people found what they are good at and what they're portraying and pursuing. So it's possible for you too, but like I said, it doesn't have to happen overnight as well. Maybe it takes some time for you to figure that stuff out for yourself. So that's mentorship. We drifted off a little bit. I can see that. Now let's wrap this up. What I'm talking about is when we talk about mentorship, there's no shortcomings for you. You don't have to invest a lot of money into mentors at the beginning. If you don't have any, you will find them all over the internet. Find people who are where you want to be, so it makes sense for you to follow them and their advice. Make sure you not only have one, make sure you have more than one mentor you're following. And then the other thing is, if you then do decide to go a step further, you know, most of these mentors, they all have a paying program or a one-to-one coaching program where you can join, or mastermind groups, which you then can join, and you know, they will take you then on the hand and walk you through your goals and what you want to achieve. The last thing is, you've got your phone. That's the most valuable thing nowadays. You can have them with you 24/7, 365. Let me know what you guys think. Is this something you do as well? Do you have more than one mentor? Is this a new concept to you, what I'm talking about here? Leave a comment in the comment box. It would be awesome to have a bit of a discussion. And I think tomorrow I'm back with a vlog. I'm not sure. Let me know in general if you like these themed videos, and give me suggestions of what other themed videos or stuff you want to hear about. So I'll see you guys in the next one.